Alright, for a tie for now from church will be a samo be a quaba beam at the bar a year and cassette TV so Casacasi Boston Edu Sisi Busia for our IPAC meeting be a course so a brand like say EC boss Jane Mensa ɛwɔ hɔ bi a ne presidential candidate for ne so bebree na ɛwɔ hɔ na akuadɔnkɔ maame akuadɔnkɔ attack John Dramani Mahama paa na kyerɛ sɛ ɛnyɛ asɛm ketewa nsɛm a ɔkeka kyerɛ John Dramani Mahama no na ɛnyɛ asɛm ketewa koraa na amanfoɔ ɛkyerɛ sɛ adɛn nti na Jane Mensa anaasɛ EC boss a kyerɛ sɛ IPAC meeting no ɔno ɔdi anim no wantumi anstɔpe yɛ maame akuadɔnkɔ mmienkɔti nsɛm no nkyɛmu ɛne nsɛm a ɛyɛ akuadɔnkɔ kafa Mahama bɛsɛ also be subscribe to my channel be like we do adwinkyɛ so ebegu comment section wɔ kamakama.
We have provided an avenue for persons to check on their Android phones without the use of internet. So I think if anything at all, you should really embrace what we are doing because we've tried to be inclusive and to ensure that nobody is left behind. Thank you.
Just to add briefly to the applauding of the commission, I think it's also important for us to state that when you look at registration of voters in our part of the world, in West Africa, Ghana is the only country that has been able to ensure that almost everyone who is qualified is on the roll. When you look at the data from the Statistical Service, almost 97% of the people who are eligible in Ghana are on the voters register. The Ghana Statistical Service will tell you that 2024 Ghanaians who must be 18, almost 19,300,000. And on our register, we have 18.7. That's almost 90% of those who are eligible. And when you look at their own data, Ghana's population, almost 56% of the population are on the voters register. And when you look at our sub-region, the only country that is doing 55% is Cape Verde. And Cape Verde's population is almost 500,000. It's less than 600,000. So clearly there is something Ghana's Electoral Commission is doing. So we expect that the applause will be more. That doesn't suggest that if there are problems, we shouldn't talk about. As the chair said, this is not the exhibition we are doing. The exhibition has been done. But just to ensure that we wrap up everything, ensure a very credible system, the commission is doing that. We recognize that in some places, internet access is a problem. That's why we have 5 days. People can reach out to their friends to do the check-in for them. And as we have maintained, within the 5 days, if there are concerns, report to our offices. But after the 5 days, you will not have that opportunity to do so again. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon once again. Just to quickly address the issues that were raised by Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. The first one had to do with the figures. As we all recall, 2 weeks ago, we did state for everybody's hearing that the figures that we had there were provisional and there was still work in progress to clean up the register. We also did mention to you that there were issues that were coming up from the districts. DRRO was yet to sit, and therefore when they sit, it was pretty obvious that those numbers will change. And that is why the word provisional being used is key. So you do not expect that if it's a process that is ongoing and is being reviewed, the numbers will remain static. Indeed, until the final register is certified, those figures can change. DRRO sat and DRRO took certain decisions. DRRO said, take certain people off the register, or some people who appealed came. So there were movements. All the lists got affected. Exceptions list got affected. Multiple lists got affected. Valid motor list got affected. Even missing list got affected because the numbers have changed. So please let us not make it seem as if the numbers will be static for so long as it remains provisional. And even this exercise we are doing now, up until the 19th of October, where we have given you the opportunity to come and make changes or to raise issues, those numbers will change. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't use the numbers that we have now for planning purposes. We would. Otherwise, Would we wait for everything to be done before we do it? Is that what we are saying? That is why enough buffer has been put into it. 2% has been added to allow for these changes that we anticipate will happen. Okay, so that is the explanation for it. And Dr. Tanko, please, as at 2020, when this register was created, I can tell you the statistics that we have for multiples and exceptions. So at the end of 2020 in November, the total number of people who were on the exceptions list was 13,997. As at 2020, when we finished that register. Okay, so it's not as if that number came out of the blue. Then you had multiples. Multiples was 15,860. Since then, we've had several iterations of registrations. And every time you have a registration, there's a propensity for somebody to be put on the exceptions list or on the multiples list. So that figure changes. And indeed, every time we go for adjudication committee meetings, the figures that we have are the numbers for that particular registration, and they end up being added to the total. So let us not make it seem as if when we go and sit at adjudication committee, the numbers that we have are the actual numbers. They go and they add up to it. So please, I think that we need to, yes. And multiples list, like we've said, it's not up to us. We don't determine who goes onto the multiples list. If a registration is done and your fingerprints match, you will be put on the multiples list. Where the system is not able to clearly determine where.
Yeah, no. And so, I say, this is a for the country. And no, my friend, my father, my father. And the next morning, Mum was Sammy Bill now, who I bet you, who I bet you, and trouble. Munia, no, Munia, on what you want. The American ceremony. Party no, I'm a tea. But the party no, 2011. Anna, you register me 2012. Me and Gassan, I'm a tea party no. Mean fat man will be fatty mo. Man could do be fatty and come at your home. Me and I'm a tea party and sign your register me Dr. Frejai. So, I'm a tea party. And someone on the casa of the kind baby that Mema, he's a penny of what yes, say. And someone sitting up one tree. A fat Jamahama home come and penny if you say, you know what film. They say, well, no, I walk up over a penny or a bed, and I said, you may be more. And I said, oh, sack of to me for that. What do you do that to her? To do also and do that to her. And to make a castle of my penny, dada. Dear, and me now, Cassa, no cassette, yammy. Say, a banner a tree, or banner a no can be. Your Mahama can be say. And say, Guy may a family. Now, may baby no me, you won't. I ban say, I will use him penny force the bar say. Will be a quite church, you know. I won't grow in our crater or so. Our crater or so. Mutiame, Moka me a D. And didn't catch them. Using my crater from so I can say 9. Young Quankura, a war sacrater or so. Young was inside. Where the about Mokra say, or your best sign of 1 power 94 number. Naka home. Minimum woman, no more can, minimum woman. That's me, Timmy Aquaside. Timmy Aquaside, I did, and one more side be added if you are not my dear phone number go so. Woman, that's me, that's what you have. That's also in the moment. What for computer at now? Now I watch church and not the battery anymore. If you didn't.